Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. It is this week the year anniversary, the beginning of the Robert Mueller Russia investigation. And at the end of that period, we have discovered there is still no evidence at all of collusion between the Donald Trump for President campaign of 2016 and the Russian government. But Mueller's many supporters in Washington don't seem to care about that. That's because the investigation was never about Russia, obviously. The whole absurd fever dream was always a way for the ruling class to feel better about losing power in 2016. It was a way for them to avoid thinking about why Trump got elected, and they never have thought about it. Along the way, the investigation has provided Democrats with a full year of government-funded Oppo research and destroyed the lives of a number of people who supported Donald Trump. Those are added bonuses from the Democratic perspective. But there have been downsides for Democrats. Voters are not impressed by the Russia story. It is weird and false and confusing. It has precisely nothing to do with voters' actual lives or the issues they vote on. It's a total waste of time for everyone, and yet it's all Democrats have. Trump is evil. So is Russia. That's the entire progressive program of 2018 summarized in 2 sentences. If the Democratic Party had a Sermon on the Mount, those would be the Beatitudes. No wonder their approval numbers are falling. Republican Congressman Todd Rokita of Indiana has introduced a resolution calling for an end to Mueller's investigation or a report within 30 days. He joins us along with fellow Republican Ron DeSantis of Florida. He says he may know the identity of the person who spied on Trump's campaign for the FBI in 2016. Gentlemen, welcome to you both tonight. Congressman Rokita, first to you. So this resolution would call for an end to the investigation or a report summarizing its findings so far. Am I misstating that?
No, both's correct, Tucker. The fact of the matter is, it's been a year, as you say. It's been $20 million, and we need to see a report of what evidence he has. And absent that evidence, it should wind up within 30 days of the resolution passing.
So why wouldn't other members on both sides in the Congress want some oversight? I mean, you're constitutionally bound to provide oversight of the DOJ, so why are you the only person calling for this?
Well, I'm not. Matt Gaetz is also calling for it. There's a couple others calling for it, but we need your viewers to call your members of Congress and get them on board. You can only have a free republic, as you know, Tucker, if you have transparency, and this is exactly what we need. It is a witch hunt. It's gone beyond an investigation, and the only evidence of collusion that we found, and the only evidence of criminality, has been on the Democrats. So we're calling on Mueller to show his hand or fold the deck.
Even if I believe the president colluded with Vladimir Putin, I'd be very concerned about this investigation because the parameters aren't clear, the timeline is opaque, and it's not clear what the point is. So, Congressman DeSantis, one of the enduring mysteries of the past 2 weeks has been the story of a mole or spy within the Trump campaign feeding information to the Russia investigation. Have you any sense who that person might be?
Look, I do, Tucker, but I think that the issue needs to go through the proper channels. I'm not comfortable disclosing who I think it is based on the evidence that I have, but I could say this. The American people deserve an answer, up or down. Did the FBI direct somebody to spy on Donald Trump's campaign? Was somebody actively working to undermine his campaign and create the illusion of collusion? And if that's the case, I think that's more serious than the FISA abuse. I think it's more serious than Rosenstein butchering this whole appointing order with Mueller from the beginning. So we need the answer to those questions.
Shocking.
And they are not giving us the answers now, Tucker.
They're definitely not. Now, I know you don't want to risk libel by naming someone because this has not been proved in court. So, but give us a sense of what you're talking about. Are you saying that someone who worked on the Trump campaign fed information to law enforcement?
So if you look at Glenn Simpson's testimony from Fusion GPS, he talked about there being a human source. And that was something that was controversial at the time. Some people said it was Papadopoulos. It's not Papadopoulos. That's not who he was referring to. So the issue is he acknowledges there's a human source. Peter Strzok, he opens up the counterintelligence investigation in the summer of 2016. What does he do the next day? He goes to Great Britain, he goes to London, and he's meeting with people. Well, how the heck would you do that if you just opened the investigation that day? So I think in that kind of the London, Christopher Steele, Glenn Simpson axis is probably the individual that we're looking at. But I mean, look, we need to know whether this individual was spying or not. I have grave concerns about it, but I think we can get those questions answered when the Justice Department ponies up the documents.
You're absolutely right. But last follow-up on that is, are you suggesting, or do you believe that this is someone who was pressured into cooperating with the investigation, or someone who freely sent information over about the campaign?
Oh, I think it's the latter, Tucker. I think that this would be somebody potentially could have been paid by the FBI. You know, like Steele there was an agreement to pay Steele.
Right.
So we just need to answer that. Did they pay anybody? Yes or no?
Well,
did they direct anyone to go to the campaign? Yes or no? Very easy questions to answer.
And Tucker, we need to. I mean,
this
Ron
is the
DeSantis
Well, you're exactly. I'm sorry, Congressman. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis is exactly right. We also need to know the relationship between Mueller and Comey. I mean, Comey kicked this whole thing off with a bogus FISA warrant. And what is the relationship between Mueller and Comey? Did Mueller give Comey immunity? Does Comey think he's above the law? Where are we going with all this? That's what needs to be investigated.
Do you believe, quickly, Congressman, do you believe that Jim Comey has been offered immunity by the Mueller investigation?
I think it stands to reason, and I think the American people deserve to know.
That would be shocking. Congressman, thank you both. I appreciate that. I hope you get to the bottom of those. We have a right to know.
Thanks, Doug.
The idea that immigrants come over here and they don't know anything and they're dragging us down, because we all come from immigrants, including you, Tommy Ladd.
She talks about low skills. What exactly are her skills?
Her second great-grandmother had been here for 10 years, yet spoke no English. Oh, my gosh. 1930 census says Tommy's 3 times great-grandmother had been here for 41 years and still spoke German. She didn't speak English either. She doesn't even know her own history. She certainly doesn't know this country's history.
Fox News contributor Tommy Lahren is here to respond to that. So, Tommy, what led to that bashing on The View?
Well, there is a woman over the weekend who took it upon herself to research my family history in hopes of digging up some kind of a gotcha moment, a gotcha angle to validate illegal immigration and open borders. And what she found was really shocking, guys. She found that my family who came here in the 1800s from Norway and Germany, that they spoke Norwegian and German.
Okay.
And really what she did is prove that my family came here legally, but what she was hoping to do was try to call me a hypocrite for believing in merit-based immigration. Again, she failed miserably. But this really isn't what she calls resistance genealogy. It's just another indication of Trump derangement syndrome. But I really am happy, though, that she has such a fascination with my family history, and I'm hoping that she will take on Elizabeth Warren's next.
Wow, that would be very interesting. Tommy, a couple of things. They do not understand the conversations about illegal immigration and immigration. One group of people signs the guest book and says, I'd like to stay, here's my credentials. The other sneaks in. They might both be fine people, just as there's a way in and there's a wrong way in. And for them to go that deep in your background, you have gotten under their skin to a level I didn't think was possible. What is it about you that bothers them so much?
Well, it's not just me. It's anybody who advocates for merit-based immigration or has an issue with open borders. And again, just like you said, they don't seem to understand that we on the right believe in immigration. We understand that we are a nation of immigrants, and I am proud of my heritage. However, I do believe that the immigration crisis of today is apples to oranges from what it was in the 1800s when immigrants came to this country legally, were documented, worked for themselves, asked for nothing, and built a life and a family. That has nothing to do with the illegal immigration crisis of today that we must deal with. But they don't want to acknowledge that whatsoever.
Did you provide them with DNA, 23andMe? Because I cannot believe the detail on your background that they were able to get.
Well, I don't have to. She did all the research for me, so I'm sure my family is very appreciative.
What about Joy saying, though, what are your skills? It's beyond research. It is personal. It is mean.
Well, of course, this is classical Joy Behar, but I would like to ask Joy Behar what her skills are, because perhaps we could swap stories. I know I watch Joy, and she seems like a highly skilled lady, but for her to attack me, that's really interesting. Those in glass houses should not throw stones.
Meanwhile, one of the things, the New York Times has this headline: breaking up immigrant families. This also has to do with immigration. A look at the latest border tactic. Clearly, as we have heard from the Attorney General of the United States, Tommy, this administration is actually going to be enforcing our immigration laws, where during the Obama years, not so much.
Well, during the Obama years, it was a cattle call to come into this nation illegally. And furthermore, this is, again, the left's attempt at emotional blackmail. And I would just like to state, I don't know if they understand this or not, but if you don't want your family to be broken up when you cross the border illegally, here's an idea. Don't cross the border illegally. Then your family will surely stay together. I don't know why the left can't think of this, but they would rather try to tell us that we hate families, we want to break up families, we're horrible, we're despicable. No, we want to enforce federal immigration law, which is why it exists in the first place. But again, the left cannot seem to understand this concept.
Well, and the United States is trying to enforce our border regulations down south. Over the last couple of years, it hasn't been so much. And then the news out of Israel yesterday was the fact that the Israelis were protecting their border, and the Palestinians understood that there could be trouble, but nonetheless, their leaders said, go ahead, breach the border, climb over the wall, because the Israeli soldiers have run away.
Well, as we've seen, Israel clearly doesn't play around, but every nation has the right to enforce their border. Every nation has a right to protect its citizens. I've said it before. You don't lock your door because you hate the people outside. You lock it because you believe in protecting the people inside. That is why we have a border. But the left would rather us have open borders. Again, that's a threat to our safety and security. And we that believe in legal immigration and we that believe in border enforcement will never stand for that, ever.
So, Tommy, on behalf of the people of Norway and Germany, we thank you for your appearance this morning. Together, you've become a fine human being.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. Okay. Still waiting for Elizabeth Warren's genealogy, though. Maybe she'll work on that one next.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe it'll be a talking point today on The View.
Thanks, Tommy.